Welcome to another edition of Take 5. I got my lucky charm Leela with me. So hopefully, whenever she's here, we don't have the issues we usually have. And we are in Luke chapter 21. And I got my glasses right over here. We got birds chirping. It's a beautiful spring day here in Simpsonville, South Carolina. So we are in verse 5. And while some were speaking of the temple and how it was adorned with noble stones and offerings, he said, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when there will not be left here one stone upon another that will not be thrown down." And they asked him, "Teacher, when will these things be? And what will be the sign when these things are about to take place?" And he said, "See that you are not led astray, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and the time is at hand. Do not go after them. And when you hear of wars and tumults, do not be terrified, for these things must first take place, but the end will not be at once." I'm going to stop there just for a minute. Alright. He's talking about the destruction of the temple, which did happen in AD 70. The entire temple was wiped out. But they ask him what kind of signs are going to happen. He says, "Don't you worry about it. Don't you know? There's going to be things happening, but the end's not going to come all at once. It's going to be a gradual thing." But the main point there, he says, don't be terrified and don't be led astray. You just keep doing what you're doing. All right? Let's keep going. Verse 10, "Then he said to them, Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and pestilences, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. But before all this, they will lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought before kings and governors for my name's sake. This will be your opportunity to bear witness. Settle it therefore in your minds not to meditate beforehand how to answer. For I will give you a mouth and wisdom which none of your adversaries will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be delivered up even by parents and brothers and relatives and friends, and some of you they will put to death. You will be hated by all for my name's sake, but not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance you will gain your lives." Alright. Now when he says not a hair of your head will perish, that means for eternity. Certainly a lot of these guys, most of them, did die physical deaths as a result of persecution. And he's letting them know it's going to happen. Saying don't be surprised when it happens, because they're going to hate you because they hate me too. That's the idea there. So, and the persecution did happen to these guys, and most of them were killed. All right. And he says it's going to be earthquakes and things like that, but you just keep doing what you're doing. That's the point here. See, all these things are going to happen all around you, but you stay faithful. All right. Verse 20. "But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation has come near." Right now he's talking specifically about Jerusalem. "And let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let those who are inside the city depart, and let not those who are out in the country enter it. For these are days of vengeance, to fulfill all that is written." Alright, now he's giving very specific instructions, because in AD 70 a lot of these people would have read this account, or they would have heard Jesus say this, and they would remember when they see the Roman army surround Jerusalem. They would obey these very specific instructions. They'd say, okay, I need to stay away, and if I can get out, get out. Alright, because there's going to be a lot of bad stuff happening. But if I'm out, I certainly don't want to try to go back in. See, that's the point there. Verse 23, "Alas for women who are pregnant and for those who are nursing infants in those days." See, because it's going to be hard for them to move. "For there will be great distress upon the earth and wrath against this people." He's talking about the Jewish people. Verse 24, "They will fall by the edge of the sword and be led captive among all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled." All right, now you got a double-sided prophecy here. He says that Jerusalem's going to fall by the edge of the sword. That's to the Roman armies. And he says that they're going to be led captive among all nations. So those who aren't killed would be made subservient to the Gentiles. And that's what you see. That's what you saw through history from pretty much AD 70 up until the present time. It says until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Now the times of the Gentiles have not yet been fulfilled. Then there's going to be more destruction come upon the earth when that happens. And so that's what we'll be getting into tomorrow on the next edition of Take 5. But the reason I say the times of the Gentiles have not yet been fulfilled, go to Romans 11 and you'll get some clues about that, okay? That's homework for you. Anyway, the main point here to apply to your life is just obey God and just keep doing what you're doing. There's going to be all kinds of bad stuff happening around you. Jesus has prophesied it. There's going to be bad stuff happening to you personally. There's going to be bad stuff happening in the world. And this is part of God's judgment on the world. But nevertheless, you stay faithful and you keep doing the right things. And you come back tomorrow for the next edition of Take 5.